Hi everyone, it's Karen and I'm back to share my second design team project for the month of December for AngeldreamCraftsKim on Etsy. I will leave links to the shop and all the designers that are currently designing beautiful projects, showing off the beautiful products that she has in the store and hoping to inspire you. And I will add all those in the description box below. So hopefully by the time this video goes up, the postal strike in Canada is over and the shop has reopened. But if you do find the shop in holiday mode, that is why, because she can't do any shipping. But this video, I'm pre-recording it, so I'm hoping that the strike is over. They're the lovely angels that I created. I love to do angels every year. I love to give them at Christmas time as gifts. I also like to have them in my stash because if someone loses a loved one during the year, if it's someone close to me, I love to give them an angel. I find them a comforting thing, and so it's not something I have out just at Christmas. I have angels out in my home all year round. Made a few. I was having a lot of fun. The laces that I got from Kim's shop really lent themselves so beautifully to these angels, and then some of the other little pieces that I had saved that she had sent as well. So I'm just going to start. This is the beautiful flat lace type material that she sent around, not this last design team package, but the one before that. And so I created the dress using that fabric. And I love that Kim's carrying fabrics in her shop now, lace ones and regular fabric. It's so nice. It's a nice addition to your crafting supplies. And I just added some blings of my own on the bottom and onto the laces. That's something that's so nice to do. Kim's laces are beautiful on their own, but they're very easy to embellish too with your own little blings. She has a pair of beads, actually, that I had in my stash. I've had for forever, and I was on a mission making decorations this year to use up stuff in my stash. And so I used those as her wings, and then I added the feathers behind as well. She has a little beaded head and some curly hair, those cute little bows from one of Kim's, that little bow trim that Kim has. I've been cutting away at those individually. I'll be sad when that's finished. I'll have to see if she's getting more in the shop. Finished on the back as well. So I've put hangers on them because even during the year, if I leave mine out, I usually hang them up somewhere where I can see them. And so if I have put little hangers on all of them. So that's the first one. The second one I'm going to show you is inspired by some of the Christmas decorations I made this year. And this is the fan fold music paper, and this is some vintage music paper I had from a hymnal that a friend gave me. And then I used a little digital of a little girl, and she was an angel, but I cut her paper wings off and I created her wings using laces and trims from Kim's shop, and then added in a few feathers. So this is a beautiful netted trim, part of one in the background for her wings. This is a bit of that sequin trim that Kim had in the shop. This is the edge off of another trim. I just cut 4 of the little circles and added that to the collar of her dress. And this is another trim from Kim's shop, and it had this little bit of a detailing on it, and I cut a little piece off and added it on the bottom of her dress. There's some tulle in the background to add some sparkle. And then these are little flowers off of her netted trim that I added into a bouquet here. She was holding flowers on the digital, so I just embellished it more with some little bits on there as well. Added a little pearl up top of that one onto the hanger. And then the back is just a simple finish with some gold paper and a little piece of netted trim from Kim's shop. This is one of the bigger ones I made. I just had to use that fabric that was on the outside of my design team package this month. And I just gathered it, cut a piece and gathered it up at the neck. And then I used the netted lace. I used a piece of it here in the front, and then there's a piece of it at her neckline as well. I did add some beads onto, you can see there's some little sort of clear shiny beads, and then another string of them around her neck. And the bottom of this, I added the beads on as well. So hopefully you can see I've added them. So instead of gluing this onto the dress, I stitched it onto this part of the dress by using the beads. And I've been doing that quite a bit, doing more hand stitching with my projects. I just adds another layer of beauty and getting away from using a lot of hot glue. This is a trim from Kim's shop as well, this beauty here. This is just the top scallop of it. It has a bottom piece to it as well. And I think I just, oh yeah, you can see it there. I cut it and used it along the edge there. Added my own little blings there on her wings. She has a head of hair that is made from some fuzzy yarn that I have that has sort of this little bit of purple in it and white and beige. I just love working with these yarns and creating hairdos for them. She has a bit of a upsweep bun at the back, one of those little bows in there, her little pretty little blingy halo. And this is some cup chain from Kim's shop that I had in my stash. And I used a wooden heart for her back. I had these out doing Christmas decorations, and then I covered it with this beautiful tea sort of colored netted trim that Kim sent me in my design team package. And this is one of her pleated trims. She has these in her shop all the time in creams, whites, pinks. This was a tea sort of colored one, I call it. And they're just beautiful to work with. They're lovely to have. Any color, but I particularly love this color. I just love the combination of the creams and the white and that tea color on her. I think it turned out so pretty. And then again, she has of course a hanger, but I finished the back just with a bow, a little bit of ribbon from my stash, and a heart bling from Kim's shop that I had still in my stash. And the back of her dress, I did the same piece like I did in the front. I did the same on the back, and it's all attached with beads as well. So she's completely finished front and back. I am big on finishing my projects front and back. That's just me. So not necessary, but that's the way I like to craft. So that's what she turned out, and she's super pretty. I love how she looks. This is another one that I did. Some of them have bells in them. I love that saying, when a bell rings, an angel gets their wings, and so I thought I would put bells in some of them. And some of my bells, like these fancy bells, are really pretty, but they have no sound. So what I did was attach another bell underneath it so that there was an actual jingling sound. So her dress, the underlay of it is a sparkle tulle that I had in my stash, and then I overlaid it with this gorgeous lace from Kim's shop. So it's got a couple of overlays. This is the main one, and that goes all the way around. And then on top of that, I put some of that beaded applique, and I cut that applique up. I used it in several of my projects because it goes such a long ways. And so these are different pieces, and I just piece it together the way I want it. And then around her neck is some of that pink trim with the little bit of gold thread in the middle, and I stitched that onto here with some beads, and they're in the center. And this is stitched on as well with, you can see I can lift this right up, so I didn't want it attached to the tulle. It makes it really, I don't know, it takes something away from it when the layers are all glued together really solid. So what I did was an overlay. I stitched this on to here. You can see some of my stitches on the back here where I stitched that on. And what I did was I stitched through the beads that were already on the existing applique. I just took my thread and went up and through the bead again, and then stitched down to be able to put this on top and add it where I needed to add it. So there, like I said, this completely flips up. And then on the bottom of her tulle dress, I wanted to add even more sparkles. So I stitched on, when I get in a stitching mode, you can't stop me. So I've stitched on some little silver sequins with the little beads in the center, and I've stitched those all the way along. And I've used a fine beading thread, so you can see it on the underside. You can see how the thread runs between each sequin and moves along, but it's not really obvious because of it being a beading thread. And then of course I love the little touch of pink in her neck, and I'd already picked out this beautiful fabric. This is another one of the fabrics from Kim's shop, and I hope she gets more of this in coming Valentine's Day, but it's a netted material with little flocked pink hearts on it, and I had a piece left and I made it into a bow, and I added that on her back for her wings. And again, I had a few of these little hearts left from Kim's shop, so I added one of those there at the back, and otherwise I left the back plain. It is made from a little glass bauble that I had in my stash and some curly hair that I had. I bought this curly hair in a bag from a craft store. Probably I've had it for 10 years because you use so little. And now with me using the other yarns for the hair as well, I'll probably have it for another 10 years before I finally use it all up. So that's that one, and she turned out so cute too. And this one also, because of the way her skirt is created, she could also stand like this one is. So I just have a little faux candle here, and these ones can sort of stand and over a candle, and so that candle flickers underneath their dresses and it looks really pretty. And since I moved this one, I might as well show you this one. This one, you got a sneaky peek of her in the last video. And again, her dress is made with the sparkly tulle. And I stitched it, and then I added this trim along the bottom, hand stitched this on. And what that did was it created it to be quite stiff, so she stands up. Now, she doesn't stand there very well because it's not solid, but she does stand. And she also can be hung, but I didn't put a hanger on her just because I was using her as a standing one. This is a dangle trim from Kim's shop, one of my favorite ones as well. And then I added the little bows again in there. Added these beautiful pieces on the back are from Kim's shop. I had the taupe, my last design team package, and that's on this angel, the taupe colored one. And this was the cream one I had in the previous design team package. This is also a beautiful versatile lace. And this part of it just lends itself really well to wings on an angel. And then I added in some of my own blings from my stash, some little blings at her neckline from my stash. Again, cup chain for her halo. And some of the cup chain is from Kim's shop, some from my stash, but she does carry cup chain. And then this one, I made her hair more straight with some little shaggy bangs and just straight down the back. And then that's using just a mohair type yarn. And as I mentioned, I think once in one of my other videos, I've been practicing my faces. So I have faces on all these little angels this time, and a little bit of blush on their cheeks. And then there's the back. And because I wanted to separate the pieces out so you could really see them on either side of her, I just attached a piece of this bling mesh between them to be able to glue it onto her back. And then I added this little ribbon flower that I had in my stash. I added that to cover some of the bling mesh. But I just made like a little bridge between these two pieces so that they sat where I wanted them to. Because if I would have just glued them right together on her back, you wouldn't have seen much of them on the front. And that wasn't the look I was going for. And I love the dangle trim because there's some movement in that as well, and it looks really pretty. So that's that little one. We'll move on to this lovely lady. And this one is made with this beautiful trim that was in my design team package. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous trim from Kim's shop. It's the thread in this has got a bit of a shine to it, and there's just so much texture and so many different things to look at on it. So pretty. I added some pearl flatbacks and some little gold flatbacks onto it to add something even more. This is also a piece of netted trim from Kim's shop, and I've made her little cape at the top here using that. And again, just gathered up, and then I've added some blings on that as well. Little bow at her neck, little shoestring bow from my stash. Her beautiful wings are made from the white ribbon that Kim had tied around one of my design team packages. I again just created a bow with that, and then I added the feathers onto the back as well to create her wings. Her hair, again, is the fuzzy yarn, but I did a rolled a little piece in the front here and then gathered it together. Brought a few strands down on each side of her head and then gathered it into the back, sort of in a kind of a, you can see the shape of it there. Just playing with it and having fun. Did her hanger by attaching it through the hair there and then tucking it in underneath her wings. And these feathers, I don't know about you, but when I get the feathers, when you buy them from different sources, they're the long, thin ones. They're not quite right for using for wings, but I had this idea of bending them. That's the word. So I bent the feather all the way around in a loop so that you get all these beautiful feathers sticking out where you want them. I mean, some go in the center too, but that's okay. And you get all these beautiful little feathers coming out, and then I glued them at the bottom against the ribbon. And then there was a bit of ribbon that I put on the back to cover all that working so you don't see any of it, basically. And then a little bling. This lace just made her so, so pretty. And this one, she has some bells in her as well. She's another one that jingles. And she has a bit of tulle in her skirt as well, just to give it just gives it a little bit of poof. And she has a pretty beaded halo with just some gold beads and little pearly beads on a gold piece of wire, and then tucked into her little bun on the back. And then this one is again using layers of this lace, but look how different they look. And that's because this is one part of the lace, and then this is another part. That you can see this part is the same, the circle part, but then from that dangle down the dangles. And so I used 2 rows of it, and I stitched them together by putting a little pearl right here at the end and stitching that to the next layer behind. So this is actually loose here. I could put my finger right through here at the back, but you don't even see that because it blends all in, and the attachment is where the pearls are. So I created her skirt, and then I used a little flower from my stash, and I beaded around the edge of it with bugle beads and pearls, and then added a bit of tulle at her neckline. She's got a big head of hair with a big poofy at the front, and then a big bun at the back with a little one of Kim's blings there at the back. Pretty pink bling halo. Gorgeous pieces here of that taupey trim. I just love that so much. I thought it was so pretty on here with the gold and the white in her dress. So I added that. She's got a little bit of feathers at the back, and then just some extra little bits added here. This is something from my stash, but this flower is from a lace from Kim's Laces, and I just added that to embellish the back and pretty up all the attachment of the wings. And then this heart is from the same lace that this comes from. So you get these beautiful pieces in it, and then you also get these gorgeous heart shapes. And then I added another one of those little blingy hearts on the back. But there she is from the back. And she has a bit of tulle in her skirt, and I've actually left, it's a sparkly one, and I've left some of it showing out the bottom of her dress. And the dress is not attached to the tulle. The tulle is attached at the top here. And then so this is all separate. And then again, she has a couple of bells inside of her too. So she's another one that jingles. And she has the hanger on there. So she, whoops. So she, whoa. So she can be hung up. And she turned out really cute too. And then one last little one. I had some of these clothes pegs, these wooden clothes pegs, old-fashioned clothes pegs. They're also used for winding laces on. And I wanted to create one with one of those. So I did 2 layers of this gorgeous lace from Kim's shop. This is just a beautiful, I think it's a vintage lace. You'd have to, when her shop reopens, you'll have to check, but it has a very vintage feel to it if it's not. I used 2 layers. One I attached here at the waist, gathered, and the second I did the top, and I actually gathered it in on the sides with a couple of stitches to create little arms or little sleeves. This part of her reminds me of the choir gown I used to wear when I was in the choir when I was young. I started singing in the choir from like, I think you started when you were about 5 or 6. And I sang probably until I was 11 or 12 years old. I sang in the choir. And we used to wear these little cape things that looked like this. And I added some pretty sparkly tulle underneath her dress too. And I just left it there so you could see the bottom of the pin. Again, I used the cream colored lace that's the same as that taupe one that you saw here. It just lends itself so beautifully to wings of an angel. And I added some blings on, and this one I feathered it up too. She's got some cute yarn type hair, a pretty bling little halo. Her face was a little harder to do because it's such a small surface you're working on, but it's okay. All my faces are a work in progress, so next year maybe they'll look different again. And on the back here is some of that beautiful trim that I had in my design team package that is in the embroidery on netted lace. And I cut 3 pieces out here and then some of the longer trailing pieces down the back and added a little heart in the center of there to finish her back off. And again, she's got the hanger hanging up. So she turned out really cute too. I did add a bow and some little acrylic pieces here on the sewn on the front of her dress with some beads to add some detailing there. A little bit of pearl string in her neck and a little bit of shiny bling there at her waist, just to kind of accent the areas of her dress. Yeah. So is that all of them? Did I cover them all? Yes, I did. So those are my beautiful angels that I created with beautiful trims and laces from AngeldreamCraftsKim on Etsy. And her shop is beautiful. Her products inspire me to create these beauties. And I hope that when you get a chance, you'll pop over and check out the shop and get some beautiful things for yourself and do some creating. I hope you're having fun getting ready for Christmas, and that you have some angels in your life that will be joining you this Christmas, as many of us do, and really enjoy this season and enjoy every moment. And I will talk to you all soon. Bye for now.